Okay, now it's on to the main course. And you can see here in front of me, this is an entire rib of beef. We're going to take this, we're going to trim it, we're going to turn out prime rib roast, then we're going to take the remaining part and turn it into delicious ribeyes to barbecue later this week. Here we go. Okay, we've put the beef on top of a cutting board so it's easier to manage and easier to cut. I've got my knife, which I have now seriously sharpened to make it easier to get through this meat, but we're going to do this in several steps. First, we're going to cut off the prime rib, which is going to be four rib bones. Four of these bones, which will be a big prime rib, big dinner. You know, it's COVID, so we're not supposed to have people over, but we're going to be eating a lot of prime rib. Then we'll deal with the second half of the rib, and we'll remove the bones and we'll turn them into sirloin ribeye steaks. Okay, so here we go. So we look at the back and we see, okay, where are the bones? You can see them, you know, right here, right here, right here, right here. Nice four big long bones. We want to cut those, and we want to basically, we're going to wind up cutting this thing almost exactly in half. One side will be the prime rib, the other will turn into steaks. So you take your knife and you just start gently sawing down the meat. You know, it doesn't take a lot of force to cut through this. Got to have a good sharp knife, always important. Just keep on the one side of the bone and away we go through it. Now I am by no means a butcher, so you'll accept the fact that this is a little bit amateur, but anyway, it's super fun. Get a big piece of meat. You can get so many pieces cut off of it. You can do some trimming. You can watch a YouTube video. You can read an article online. Some of this stuff is pretty easy to pick up, and you can have fun and you can learn something while you're doing it. So now we've cut through the meat. We've got a delicious, beautiful piece of prime rib over here. Look at that marbling. It's just awesome. It's fantastic. It's going to just melt in the oven and can be delicious. Lots of fat on the side. We'll trim a little bit of that fat, just a little bit. Keep the fat on it, keeps the moisture in, keeps the meat tender, juicy, delicious. Fat gives you flavor. And then we're going to trim off the silver skin here. It's not good to eat, it's chewy, it's tough. And removing it will just make the meat cook that much easier. So that'll be the prime rib side. Then on this side, we're going to trim down and cut off the bones and turn this into steaks. Okay, so we've trimmed up that other prime rib roast. We've got it on the stove over here, waiting to go, and we'll pop it in the oven and cook it away in a few minutes. But the other half of this beef, we're going to turn into ribeye steaks. That's the rib in ribeye, get it? And really all we have to do, it's quite simple. We've got to remove the rib bone, which can be done, it can be done in a couple of cuts, but it's also a lesson in terms of how you slice your prime rib. You cut down the side, cut across the bottom, remove the bones. Now we could clean up the bones and retie the bones to the roast and do another prime rib with bones tied and attached. Some people prefer that. But I think the bones connected to the meat, roasting nicely there is just perfect. And then I like a little bit of the flourish of carving it up and doing something fun when it comes out of the oven. That's always kind of a spectacular moment. But this stuff is going to turn into steaks, so we don't need the bones. And there's no dog to enjoy the bones here. So sadly, that's it for the bones here. But let's follow along for a second. Very simple. Take your knife. Always secure your cutting board. Make sure your meat is in good position. Bones up, and we want to begin cutting. Always be careful. Be careful, careful, careful with knives. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. And basically, we start to score the meat, and then we start to pull the bone just a little bit away from the bulk of the meat here. See, we've just created a bit of a cavity in the meat. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my knife down. I'm going to run my knife down so that it goes really close along the line of the bone. And that's it. We just take our time. We pull the bone back a little bit with our hand, we run our knife in there, and we're separating the bone from the meat, leaving as much of that delicious ribeye steak as we can, because we want some really good ribeyes on the barbecue this week. Again, separating. This is also a good lesson for how you actually carve a lot of things. Turkey, chickens, you know. Use your knife as a way to separate the meat from the bone, as opposed to trying to be like some sort of surgeon and carving in and out with like amazing dexterity. Don't need to do that. You need to just use the sharpness of your knife to separate the meat from the bone, and you will have saved as much meat as possible. It's a real chef tip. A chef taught it to me one time and showed me how to cut a turkey, and this guy had cut like hundreds of turkeys. This is the way to do it. Same sort of thinking applies all over the place. See, we're getting the meat now. We've left as much of the meat as possible. We've cut along the bone. And voila, the ribs are out. That's it, simple. Now we're left with this perfect, giant piece of ribeye steak. So, all you gotta do, you can remove a little bit of the fat, but remember the thing that makes ribeyes delicious is the marbling. And the marbling in this piece of meat runs all the way through it. So, you know, trim a little bit back if you're concerned about the fat content. It's gonna melt, it's gonna cook off on your barbecuing when you're grilling, but just clean it up a little bit. And then we've got delicious ribeye steaks for later in the week. So, I'm gonna get busy, slice this up. This was getting dinner ready. Talk to you soon. See you in the next video.